Today I am going to start a new chapter. The name of the chapter is Deep Water. Deep Water. And the author of this chapter is William Douglas. William Douglas. Douglas. First of all, we will read about the author. William Douglas. He was born on 1898. Sorry, 1898. Died 1980. So, William Douglas was born in Minnesota, a place. After graduating with a Bachelor of Arts in English and Economics, he spent 2 years teaching high school in Yakima. Look here. First of all, he got the bachelor degree in arts. First in arts in English and in economics both. And he spent 2 years teaching high school in Yakima. However, he got tired of this and decided to pursue a legal career. That means after teaching for 2 years, he did not like this profession and thought to pursue a legal career. He met Franklin D. Roosevelt at Yale and became an advisor and friend to the president. Look here. At first, he met Franklin D. Roosevelt at Yale and became an advisor and friend to president. Douglas was a leading advocate of individual rights, and he became famous as a advocate and in individual rights. He retired in 1975 with a term lasting 36 years and remains the longest serving justice in the history of the court. Look, that means he worked for 36 years, and it was a record for justice, my longest serving justice in the history of the court. The following excerpt is taken from Of Men and Mountains by William O. Douglas. It reveals how a young boy, William Douglas, nearly drowned in a swimming pool. In this essay, he talks about his fear of water and thereafter how he finally overcome it. Notice how the autographical part of the selection is used to support his discussion of fear. That means in this chapter we are going to learn that when he was a child, when he was a young boy, how much he was afraid of water and how he came over it. That means how he overcame it. In this chapter we will learn. That means it is a part of his biography. You will understand that a person how can overcome from his fears, from his failure. It is said, it is expressed through this chapter, and it was a real incident of the author in his childhood. That means in his young days. It had happened when I was 10 or 11 years old. That means this incident had occurred when the author was only 10 or 11 years old. I had decided to learn to swim, and the author Douglas had decided to learn to swim. There was a pool at YMCA in Yakima that offered exactly the opportunity. And as he wanted to learn to swim, and there was also a pool at YMCA Yakima, maybe a club, and that offered him opportunity to learn. The Yakima River was treacherous. Look, treacherous, faithless. In Hindi we say namak haram. So the Yakima River was faithless. Mother continually warned against it. Mother had told her not to go to that river, that pool, and kept fresh in mind the details of each drowning in the river. And it was also in his mind that he might be drowned in that river. But the YMCA pool was safe. Look, but the YMCA pool was safe. That means it was he considered that pool, not the river. The pool was safe. It was only 2 or 3 feet deep at the shallow end, and while it was 9 feet deep at the other. The drop was gradual. Let me like just in this way. At the starting, that is at the shallow, it was 2 or 3 feet, or at the middle, it was only 9 feet deep. The drop was gradual. I got a pair of water wings, safety belt. You can say safety belts. He got a pair of safety belts and went to the pool and went to the pool. I hated to walk naked into it and show my skinny legs. He did not want to get into the water naked, that means without pants, because he had skinny legs. But I subdued my pride and did it. But he controlled his pride and he did it. That means he wore the swimming suit or swimming dress, whatever you say. From the beginning, however, I had an aversion to the water when I was in it. From the beginning, from the starting, when his mother had told him not to go into the water, so he hated, or he had a feeling of hatred regarding the water when he went there. This started when I was 3 or 4 years old, and father took me to the beach in California. And it had started, that means the hatred had started when he was 3 or 4 years old, when his father took him to the beach of California. He and I stood together in the surf. Look here, at that river, at that surf, we can wave. So he and his father were standing on the wave, on the surf. I hung on to him, yet the waves knocked me down and swept over me. Look, he was clinging to his father, but yet the wave knocked him and swept over him. I was buried in water and he was buried in water. My breath was gone. Oh, that means he became breathless. I was frightened and he was also frightened. Father laughed. That means he was a child when water ran over him. So he became breathless. And seeing this, his father laughed. But there was terror in my heart at the overpouring force of the words. But on the power of the wave, he became frightful. That means he became frightened. My introduction to the YMCA swimming pool revived unpleasant memories and stirred childish fears. Whenever he went to the YMCA swimming pool, these incidents occurred to his mind, came to his mind, and he became something like fearful. But in a little while, I gathered confidence, and after a while, he gathered confidence. Then he thought that he would do it. I paddled with my new water wings, watching the other boys and trying to learn by aping them. Now, he, with the water wings, he started paddling and also tried to imitate those boys who were swimming in the pool. I did this 2 or 3 times on different days and was just beginning to feel at ease in water when the misadventure happened. For 2 or 3 times he had practiced, and he was also feeling something easy because now he was adjusted to this pool, but something had happened, something bad had happened with him. I went to the pool when no one else was there. He went to the pool when there was no one. The place was quiet, and the place was completely quiet because there was no one, no sound, nothing was going there. The water was still, and the tile bottom was as white, as clean as a bathtub. And the swimming pool, the bottom of the swimming pool looks very clean and just like the bathtub. I was timid about going in alone. He felt frightened. He felt frightened to go into the water alone because there was no one. So I sat on the side of the pool to wait for others. So he sat down on the side of the pool for waiting for someone to come. I had not been there long when in came a big bruiser of a boy, probably 18 years old. He was waiting there, he was sitting there when a big boy, a healthy boy, bruiser means healthy. In Hindi we call hatta kata. So a big boy, strong boy came there, probably he was maybe 18 years old. He had thick hair on his chest. That means he was young enough, so he had thick hair in his chest. He was a beautiful physical specimen with legs and arms that showed ripping muscles. That means he had a good healthy body. Everything, his legs, his muscles, everything was looking smart, and that means healthy. He yelled and he said, "Hi, skinny." if he was very thin, the author Douglas was very thin. So the boy cried, "Hi, skinny, how would you like to be ducked? And how would you like to dive in the water?" With that, he picked me up and tossed me into the deep end. And saying this, he lifted the author and tossed him in the deep end, in the deep of the water. I landed in a sitting position, swallowed water, and went at once to the bottom. And when he was in the water, he was when he went into the water, he was in a sitting position. He swallowed some water and also went straight to the bottom. I was frightened, but not yet frightened out of my wits. He was frightened, but his knowledge, his wit, he has not lost his wit. On the way down, I planned, and when he was going to the water, going to the bottom of the water, he planned something. When my feet hit the bottom, when his feet hit the bottom of the pool, I would make a big jump. He tried to give a big jump, a pull over, come to the surface, and he came to the surface, lie flat on it and lie flat on it, and pedal to the edge of the pool and try to pedal to the. That means it was his planning. It seemed a long way down, but it seemed a long way down. Those 9 feet were more like 90. Now he felt that this 9 feet was for him was like 90 feet. And before I touched bottom, my lungs were ready to burst. And before reaching the bottom of the pool, his chest started bursting. That means he was not able to take complete breath. But when my feet hit bottom, I summoned all my strength and made what I thought was a great spring outwards. And when his legs reached the bottom, he recollected all his strength. He collected all his strength and gave a spring and thought to give a great spring upwards. I imagine I would bob to the surface like a cork, and he imagined that he would come to the surface like a cork. Instead, I came up slowly, but he could not come very fast. He came slowly. I opened my eyes and saw nothing. And he opened his eye and saw nothing but water. And only he could feel and see water. Water that had a dirty yellow tinge to it. And when he opened his eyes, he found that he was looking at dirty color, yellow color water. I grew panically. He became frightened. I reached up as if to grab a rope, and my hands clutched only at water. Suppose someone is drowning, then what he does? He sprang out his hands to catch something. So he was also trying to grab a rope, but his hands clutched only at water. I was suffocating. I tried to yell, but no sound came out. Now he tried to cry. He tried to cry, but he also knew that from crying from underwater, nothing would come out. Then my eyes and nose came out of water, but not my mouth. Then his eyes and mouth came out of the water, but not eyes and nose, but not mouth. I flailed at the surface of the water, swallowed and choked. I tried to bring up my legs, but they hung as dead weights, paralyzed and dizzy. That means his body parts were also not working at that time because his lungs was not working. So his body parts were not working at that time. A great force was pulling me under. Again, a great force was pulling him under the water. I screamed, but only the water heard me. And he cried, he screamed, but only water heard him. Nothing could hear him. I had started on the long journey back to the bottom of the pool. Again, he started going to the bottom of the pool. I struck at the water as I went down, expending my strength as one in nightmare flights and irresistible force. Look, he was just like in the water that when someone sees a nightmare trying to get rid of something but could not, just like the position he had in the water. I had lost all my breath. That means he had lost, he was unable to take breath. My lungs, as my head throbbed, I was getting dizzy. That look, his lungs was paining, his head was throbbing, palpitating. That means, and also getting dizzy. But I remembered the strategy. I would spring from the bottom of the pool and come like a cork in the surface. Again, idea came to his mind that he would spring from the bottom of the pool and come up to the surface like a cork. I would lie flat on the water, strike out with my arms, and thrust with my legs. He said he would come to the water and would lie flat, strike out his arms, and that means he would try to swim to come to the shore. Then I would get to the edge of the pool and be safe. Then he thought he would come to the edge and would be safe. I went down endlessly. I opened my eyes. Nothing but water with a yellow glow. Dark water that could not see through. Again he tried, but he see nothing except what there, because in before his eyes nothing but only water. And then sheer, sharp terror seized me. Terror that knows no understanding. Terror that knows no control. Terror that no one can understand who has not experienced it. Look, a frightened thing, a terror that cannot be explained. It came to his mind, it came to his body. He thought that it was his last time. No, terror like just death. He was thinking that it was his last time. I was striking underwater. I was paralyzed underwater, stiff, rigid with fear. That means no parts of his body was working. So he was just like a paralyzed man. He was unable to do anything. Even the screams in my throat were frozen. He could not make a sound. That means his body was not working. I have already told. Only my heart and the pounding in my head said that I was still alive. Only the heartbeat and the idea that was coming to his mind told him that he was alive. And then in the midst of the terror came a touch of reason. I must remember to jump when I hit the bottom. Again come to his mind that whenever he would reach the bottom, he would try to jump. At last I felt the tiles under me, and at last he also felt the tiles, the bottom of the pool under his legs. My toes reached out as if it grabbed them, and his toes, the of his legs, touched the bottom. I jumped with everything I had, and whatever he could do, he jumped from that place. But the jump made no difference. But there was no difference. They did not work. The water was still around me, and there was all around. There was all around water. That means he was not able to come up. He was not able to jump. I looked for ropes, ladders, water wings, and he tried to get something for help. Nothing but water, and he found nothing but water. A mass of yellow water held me. A stark terror took an even deeper hold on me, like a great charge of electricity. I shook and trembled with fright. My arms would not move, my legs would not move. I tried to call for help, to call for mother, nothing happened. At the time of danger, everyone calls his mother, everyone calls his God, everyone calls his friend, whoever you can do. He tried, but nothing was going to be there. And then, strangely, there was light. And look, then strangely there was light. I was coming out of the awful yellow water. He was coming out from the water. At least my eyes were. He felt that his eyes were coming out of my nose was almost out, and nose was also out too. Then I started down a third time. Then again he started to go down for the third time. I sucked for air and got water. He tried to get some air, but he got water. The yellowish light was going out. Again the yellowish light was going out. Then again he was going down the water. Then all efforts ceased, and all his efforts ceased working, stopped working. Nothing was going to be there. I relaxed. Even my legs felt limp, and a blackness swept over my brain. It wiped out fear. It wiped out terror. Sorry. There was no more panic. It was quiet and peaceful. Nothing to be afraid of. This is nice to be drowsy, to go to sleep. No need to jump. Too tired to jump. It's nice to be carried gently, to float alone in space. Tender arms around me, tender arms like mothers. Now I must go to sleep. That means his body was now no was not working anything. So it was just like a sleeping. He felt for a second that everything was going to be silent. He was just going to sleep for a long sleep. He was going for a long sleep. I crossed the oblivion. And the curtain of life fell. He felt that he was going to. It was his last day. It was his last time. He was going. His life was going to an end. The next I remember, I was lying on my stomach beside pool vomiting, and when he came to senses, he only remembered that he was lying on the on the floor with his stomach beside the pool, and also he was vomiting. The chap that threw me in was saying, and the boy who had thrown him into the water was saying, but I was only fooling, that I was only making fun. Someone said the kid nearly died. The kid had nearly died, but all right now, but he is all right now. Let's carry him to the locker room. Let's carry him to the locker room. Then someone saying that the boy was now out of danger and he should be carried to the locker room. Several hours later, I walked home, and after several hours, he went home. I was weak and trembling. He had become weak and also trembling with fear. I shook and cried when I lay on my bed. That means whenever he went home, he cried because he thought that he would not be able to come home. I could not eat that night for days. A haunting fear was in my heart. The slightest exertion upset me, making me wobbly in the knees and stick to my stomach. I never went back to the pool. He never went to the pool again. I feared water. He started fearing the water. I avoided it whenever I could, and he tried to avoid water whenever he could do. So, students, I have completed half of the lesson. Tomorrow, I will complete the lesson. And first of all, watch this video, try to understand, and if you get any problem, then you can ask me through my personal WhatsApp number. Thank you.